Welcome back to Headlines and Heartlines, a podcast where we dive into the people and stories shaping Liberty County, Texas. I'm Vanessa Brazier, owner and publisher of Bluebonnet News of Texas. Today I'm joined by Robert Adams, a Republican candidate for the Justice of the Peace in Liberty County Precinct 2. Adams entered law enforcement in 2020 after working for years as a pipeline welder and currently serves as a deputy constable under Precinct 4 Constable Robbie Thornton. We'll talk about his transition into law enforcement, his experience working as a deputy constable, his efforts to run for Justice of the Peace, and what he believes the role of JP should look like in Liberty County. Robert, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad our schedules were able to work out.
Yes, ma'am.
Before entering law enforcement in 2020, you worked as a pipeline welder. What led you to the career change into law enforcement?
So, my daughter and my wife. I got out of high school and went straight into welding. And, I started out in the refineries and the plants, and then I went on to the pipelines. Obviously, bigger money, a lot of travel. And I married early, my first wife, and so she had 2 kids, and I needed the money. Anyway, long story short, did that 25 years, and then several divorces later, and no kids, thank God. I had one with my second wife, and she was a baby, and I was still doing it. And at the time she was born, I started thinking, I've got to figure something else out because I want to be being a dad is my dream, and now that it's here, I've got to figure out what else I can do. And so I kept on rolling with that till she was 3 or 4, and then I met Krista. And when I met her, it kind of, put a speed on things. I was like, I'm tired of the traveling. I want to be home. I want to be with my family.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what led to the change of it. I didn't just jump right into law enforcement. I went from that, being on the road, to teaching, and that was not very good there. The schools want money. They don't want you to teach. They just want the money, and I'm not good with that. So then I started thinking what else I could do, and talking to Krista about it. She was with the county forever. And
you want to explain what she did?
Yeah, she was with the sheriff's office for, I want to say 14, 15 years, 16 years, something like that. And then went into emergency management. And actually, I think she was with the sheriff's office for 12 years, and then went into emergency management, and then as a deputy emergency management coordinator. And then when
Tom left.
Yeah, when Tom retired.
Tom Branch?
Yeah, Tom Branch was the emergency management coordinator.
And when he retired.
Yeah, he retired, and then they approached her and asked her would she take it, and she did, and she ran with that for many years. And
she was doing that during Hurricane Harvey, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That was a rough time to be an emergency management person.
Yes, very much so, but she was good at it. She had a lot of contacts and had good relationships with people, and but she was she was with the county, so she was like, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you was a little kid? I said, believe it or not, when I was little, they used to have a Lone Ranger mask on the back of cereal boxes, and I can remember cutting that out and running around the house in the Lone Ranger mask. I said I want to be a cop, and she said, well, go do it. And I said, I'm in my 40s, I can't do that. And she said, can you think of anything else you ever wanted to do? I said, no, that's really what I wanted to do. I was just trapped in this, and so between me and her, we got the application done and got accepted in the police academy, and it's no looking back since then.
Where'd you go to the academy?
University of Houston downtown.
Okay, all right. And so then you transitioned into law enforcement. Where did you go to work immediately?
So the first place I went was over in Koontz with Brent Slaughter. I applied here in Liberty, and the application process is just so long. And I had a couple other friends that were in law enforcement and heads of agencies, and they were trying to get me in. And Brent Slaughter had the first opening, and being right out of the academy, I wanted to go right to work.
You needed a job.
Yeah, I needed a job, and so he put me on, and it was really good, small town vibe, very Mayberry-like, and still had a lot of fair share of crime, but it was too far, it was a 2-hour drive there and 2-hour drive back. And
was it really that far for you?
Yeah, and especially in the mornings, you try to leave out about 4:30, and then you get all that back road traffic, all them people trying to commute to Baytown.
I didn't even realize it would be that bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. And
I like driving to Koontz. It's pretty.
It's very pretty, but that ended up. I ended up getting there was an opening over here with Robbie, and somebody had told me about it, and I filled out an application, went and talked with Robbie, and immediately felt like we had a connection, and I left over there Koontz and been over here ever since.
A little closer to home.
Very much so, yes.
So how has working outside of law enforcement, doing the pipeline welding job, how's your opinion of law enforcement and being in law enforcement changed over time?
Very much so differently, when you're not in law enforcement, then, it's kind of like, you're always, you got you as a citizen, then you have the cops, and when you get into it, it's really, you see it's not like that. It's not so much as an us versus them. It's, you realize that the police are here for everybody. It's not, they're not against people. They're not against anybody. They're just, we're
the majority of them.
Yeah, the majority of them are not against anybody.
Yeah.
We all have a job to do, and can you imagine a world with no law and order?
No.
I mean,
No.
it would be the Wild West.
That would be
amplified.
chaos.
Yeah, it is exactly.
Right.
But people don't give cops enough credit. It's tough.
So how has working as a deputy constable impacted your opinion of JP courts and JP systems?
So I've been very fortunate because, Precinct 4 is in Dayton, and that's, in my opinion, a very great judge over there, Larry Wilburn, and I'm his court bailiff also. And so it's had me, I've had the ability, the privilege, I guess you would say, to watch him kind of in action and watch how he runs court and watch how his just everything about him is just a lot of integrity.
Well, apparently his constituents agree because he had no opposition.
Absolutely.
And he's been there forever.
Yeah, somebody'd be crazy to run against Judge Wilburn.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one, wouldn't it?
But he's, I've had the opportunity to get to watch him and learn a lot from him, and it's just very, very good.
So for listeners who may not be familiar with Justice of the Peace, and what all they do, can you describe the role of a Justice of the Peace in your opinion?
Yeah, so from what I know, don't get me wrong, I know if I get in this spot, I got a lot of schooling to go to, 80 hours of schooling is going to be, but just from
and then continuing
yes,
education.
And continuing education all the time, the 80 hours is just to get you started. But, Justice of the Peace, number one, I know firsthand, they sign warrants. They sign all types of warrants, arrest warrants, they take care of all the court cases as far as all your traffic tickets, small claims cases, debt claim cases. They do weddings, of course.
Animal cruelty?
Yes, they'll handle that too. Anything Class C is what a justice court does. They take care of all the Class C stuff, and let's see. God, you caught me off guard when you.
No, that's okay. No, it's tough to sometimes keep the frame of thought going.
Yeah, but they handled all the traffic tickets, all the small claims cases, debt claims cases, the weddings, of course. They also take care of the death inquest.
That's the toughest part. I think.
Yeah, that's not a good part of it, but
I think it's probably the worst part of the whole job.
Yeah, that would be it.
Getting woken up in the middle of the night and having to go out and do an inquest for a person who's died.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
No.
And then magistration, magistration in the jail.
So, what JP responsibilities do you believe have the greatest impact on the everyday residents of Precinct 2?
See, that's a tough one. That would be everything, because the constituents deal with everything. You may one day be hearing a case on a traffic ticket from a constituent. Next day you may be hearing
search warrant.
Yeah, anything. Well, the Justice of the Peace usually don't sign search warrants.
Oh, okay. Just arrest warrants.
They can, but in this county, that's left to the
district judges.
To the district judges.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Where was I going at now? Pretty much all of them. Every case is important to the constituents. It's because at any given time, it can be one of them that you're dealing with. So it's all of them are, to me, of equal importance.
Okay, well that's good. So if you're elected, what would people notice first about how your Justice of the Peace Court would operate?
Repeat that again.
If you are elected, what would people notice first about how your Justice of the Peace Court operates?
I would say the very first thing that they'll notice about me is I'm a very personable person. I think they would notice my personality the greatest. Getting into that, if they make it into court, I think they would see that I'm a very fair person, and a lot of integrity and the morality of it.
So you are promising that you would be fair and impartial to everybody.
Absolutely.
Okay. So many people appear in JP court without an attorney. It's one of the courts that you can go to and not have legal representation. So how would you make sure that everyone who comes in gets a fair treatment and clarity when they don't understand the laws? How would you make sure that everybody got the same treatment?
So you can't give them legal advice.
Right.
But you can direct them with the law, and just making sure that everything that they're doing, that they're fully understand, exactly what it is that they're doing. So they're not, you don't want them ever feeling like they're being forced into anything. That's a big thing. So I guess questions, all you can do is ask and make sure that they know that they have the right to be represented by legal counsel. Whether they choose to or not is going to be on them.
Do you think that being in law enforcement is a natural transition to JP?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of people have asked. Yeah, exactly. So it's still law enforcement. It's just the next step of law enforcement. Where you're at as a peace officer, there's only so much you can do, as far as enforcing the law. When you get up into the JP side of it, you're the one that hears these cases. You're the one that makes the rulings on these cases. You're the one that, decides what makes this person's case different than this person's case. You know what I'm saying? So each one is going to be a different set, but what keeps it in line with it's just the next step of law enforcement. It's the actual, I guess you would say, this is where the buck stops. It's the end result. It's the end, just another link in the chain, I guess.
So the JP court handles everything from Class C criminal cases to evictions and magistrations. How would you balance accountability with compassion, especially with evictions?
So, with evictions, your hands are kind of tied because with the whole thing, you have to follow the law. There is no, I'm going to decide this just because I feel like it. It's everything is decided under the law. And, going on the topic of evictions, I've heard several cases in Judge Wilburn's court of evictions that are just terrible, really pull at your heartstrings. But at the end of the day, they end up getting evicted because the law won, and that's the thing. You can feel bad and have compassion on people, but, it's still, there's a job to do, people, you got to flip the side on that. What about the person that's renting the place, the landlord? They have, you have to have compassion on them as well, So, every case is unfortunate. It's just at the end of the day, you have to look at the law and you have to use the law to make your decision on things.
Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose.
That's right.
And you can't help
every
it.
Time.
There's never a win-win on most of those. So how do you view the role of justice of the peace in diversion programs? And maybe you can explain what diversion programs are to the listeners who may be tuning in.
Okay, so you're talking about juvenile diversion?
Or even like veteran diversions, like all the different diversion programs that keep people out of jail.
Right.
But they, it can be just...
So I know that the juvenile diversion program is a pretty new program that's Liberty County has started. But what that does is if a juvenile gets a ticket or gets in trouble, anything other than a ticket.
Would that be like truancy type stuff?
Yes, anything other than a ticket.
Okay.
They would come in and you would ask them, to the best of my knowledge, if they would be interested in that diversion program. And what that does is they have to pay a fee to the county for being in the program, and then they'll go a set time. I'm not quite sure of the time frame, but they'll go a set time. It's about like probation, deferred probation. But if they go this time without getting in any more trouble, then it's off of their record.
Okay.
And, keeps it kind of...
Like an expungement, but not an expungement.
Right.
Okay.
And that's, it's the same way with adults, and their deferred programs is... and I've seen, I hate to keep referencing Judge Wilburn, but he's been my mentor, through all this, the whole time I've been in this court, because I ask him questions about everything. And I see him, there'll be people come in with insurance tickets, and, they no insurance. Well, he offers every one of them a deferred, on it, and tells him, if you'll get me, if you want to be in this, you don't get any more tickets for,
and go keep
X
your
amount of
insurance
time.
going.
Show me insurance once a month, and then after this set amount of time, it won't go on your record, because with one insurance ticket you can lose your driver's license.
And then how do you ever get out of that hole?
Exactly. Then you got to go try to fight for
But if you can't work, how are you going to pay? And then it becomes this big round and round
cycle. That's right. So the end result is to try to help people and still hold people accountable.
Okay.
It's we all have to be held accountable. You can't live in a society where there's no accountability for your no consequences. You have to. So, but at the same time, there's still things you can do to help folks. And why, like the insurance, for example, why it's unfortunate, and I hate that you didn't have it, but you need to have it. Everybody needs to have it. But there's a way that I can hold you accountable and still help you get on track. You know what I'm saying? So your ultimate goal, I think, is to try to help as many people as you can.
Yeah. So how accessible do you believe a justice of the peace should be, especially in a rural precinct like Precinct 2?
So that's kind of a double-edged sword question, because, take, for example, if you have a court case and me and your friends, I don't need you coming to have direct access to me and saying, hey, you're hearing my case next week. And because then now I would have to recuse myself from it, because I have to remain neutral.
Impartial,
right, in everything. So while I would always be available to anybody, for a general conversation and some, like you said earlier, some porch conversation. Anything business has to go through the office. You can't be available 24/7 to people, because they're always going to want you to, hey, can you do that? Try
Bend
to
the
talk
rules
to you
a little
about it.
bit.
Yes, and that's an absolute no-no. That's one main thing I learned. Especially as a judge, that's a no-no.
So you're saying same set of rules for everybody?
That's exactly right.
Okay. No matter who you
are.
No
matter who it is. If it was my mother coming, I would tell her, you need to go through the secretary, and I'll see you in court.
That's what I tell my kids. If they're not getting in trouble, they'll be on the Bluebonnet News
that's right.
arrest reports, and they know that I'm not playing about it. So how would you work with clerks, law enforcement, other law enforcement agencies, and county officials to ensure the court operates smoothly and professionally?
Well, I know myself, I have a very good relationship with the constable that's there, John Tucker. I worked with him before he was even the constable. Several cases we've worked on together. We have, like I said, a good working relationship. I also know all the other judges in town, and I have a very good relationship with them. Judge Wilburn, absolutely. Judge Parrish in Precinct 3, I've worked with him. I was bailiff for his court before, filling in for people, and the same thing with Judge Hebert. Judge Brown, never really have dealt with him very much, because, where I'm at, we don't go on that side of the river very much, but so to speak. We don't get up that Tarkenton way very much. Same thing with Cleveland. Don't get in Cleveland very much. But
well, how unfortunate for you. There's some really wonderful people
I
there.
know there is. We just don't have very much.
I love every part of this county. I get around to the whole county, and I enjoy it. So why do you want this job?
Really, to make a difference. I don't want to be a patrol deputy for the rest of my life. I'm pushing 50 years old, and the whole reason that I was considering this in the first place is I had several people come to me and say, hey, have you considered, would you consider running for Justice of the Peace? And I was kind of like, I hadn't really thought about it, not yet, but why, what's going on? And they just expressed concerns with me that some things they're just not happy with. The current person that's in there, the current judge in there, said, one thing was he's not very personable, and I'm a very personable person, so you have to be open to people. You have to be able to, and I can't speak to him one way or another. I know him. He's I thought we've had a good relationship, together, but once I was approached by people, and I kind of thought, what? Now's a pretty good time to make that change. I've been in law enforcement enough to where I know the gist of the laws. I know how the JP courts operate, and I think I'd be good at it. I'm a very fair person. I like to give everybody a chance, and I think I would be a good judge.
So, how do you think technology is being used in that position, or would be used in the position if you were elected judge, to advance the court, maybe just the way that it operates, smoothly and things like that?
Other than computer systems, I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about that. I know that we're all on, all the JPs and constables are all on the same, all on the computer systems together. So
yeah. Are there any things that, if you're elected, that you would like to see implemented like right away? Or do you want to take time to kind of get to know the position first?
Yeah, that's the first thing. Like I said, I've got a lot of schooling to do, a lot of things to learn.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's something new. But the main thing I would do is try to focus on the people. And, that's the whole point of the Justice Court is to serve the people. And so that's the first thing I think I would do, get in there, look and see where we're at case-wise, ticket-wise, see if anything's backed up, and whatever's got the biggest backlog, start trying to chip away at that.
So where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in Houston.
Okay.
Channelview, North Shore area.
Mm-hmm.
Lived there till I was about, 7, I guess, and my parents divorced, and we ended up moving to Crosby, and stayed there till I was about 12, I guess, and then moved to Dayton, and went to Dayton High School forever.
You went to the high school forever, more than 4 years?
No, it seemed like 20 years. But went to
I was
Dayton.
a 3-year graduate.
Oh, you lucky dog.
Yeah, I was a nerd. I say was like it's still not happening. I'm still a nerd.
Well, we moved to, left Dayton, ended up moving out here. My mom and stepdad found this piece of property.
Out here in Raywood?
Yes, ma'am. And so I ended up getting 5-acre tract of it from her on the corner here, and I've been here ever since, almost 30 years. So
do you love it?
I do.
Yeah.
It's nowhere else I would rather be in my life.
Why?
Because you walk outside and all you hear is birds chirping. There's no train horns, there's no car horns, there's no traffic noise, there's nothing.
It's still pretty rural right here.
Very rural.
Yeah.
You can go outside at nighttime and look up, and you get the occasional airplane passing, but for the most part, all you see is stars. And it's clear. It's not any smog. It's beautiful. It's paradise.
So for people who don't understand, I do these Bluebonnet News headlines and heartlines at people's locations. And so it can be fun and challenging sometimes when their dog wants to yap in the background or if their cell phone rings but it's pretty quiet out here.
Very much.
Other than the dog occasionally.
Yes. Yeah, other than him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wants to be in the middle of stuff.
Yeah, he does. So Kristen now is teaching at Hardin ISD, right?
Yes,
ma'am. Okay. And you're still raising your 13-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
How does having a family rooted in this community influence how you think about justice and responsibility?
Very much so, because it makes you think, what if it was my daughter, What if it was my kid?
Yeah.
And same thing. So I was talking to my uncle. He was getting married, and he's a big Christian, and as well. I am as well, I like to hope. But we were talking, and he had brought up about my grandfather. My aunt was killed in a car accident. And, I had asked, because I had always felt like our family had been like extremely blessed, and I had asked him, I said, Uncle Junior, have you felt like we're just extremely blessed? And he said, I have, and I'll tell you why we are. And he told me, he said, my sister was killed in a car accident. And I said, yeah, I know that. It was before I was even born, And he said that all he remembers is that his dad, my grandfather, got him up out of bed and said, come on, we've got to go. Christine was killed in a car accident. And so he said that they got there, and then in order for charges to be pressed, charges to be filed on someone, the person had to file,
Family members had to ask.
Had to ask, had to request for the charges to be filed.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
What puts so much responsibility on a family of a victim?
Well, he said that, he's a little boy, and him and my grandpa were standing there, and the trooper came up and told him, sir, I just need you to sign here, and we'll get the charges going against him. And he said that my grandpa looked down at him, and he looked at the officer and said, I'm not signing that. He said, and what had happened is that it was a boy that had evidently been drinking, like 15 or 16 years old, and took his mom's car out joyriding.
And it would have ruined his life.
And and that's what he said. He said, if this was my son, he said, I would want someone to show him mercy as well. And he said, even though my daughter was killed, I would still want someone to show my son mercy. So I kind of look at everything like that, you got to have accountability. People have to understand that you're accountable and be held accountable for your actions. But you can also try to rule the way that, God sees us, because God forbid we were completely held accountable for our actions, Can you imagine? Whole life would be pointless.
This community's been good to you, too. A few years ago, y'all had a house fire that destroyed everything.
January 2024, yes, ma'am.
Just took everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And you were able to have the community rally around you and get you a little started again.
On our feet. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure insurance helped a little bit.
Didn't have insurance.
Oh my gosh.
No insurance.
Oh my gosh.
So
well, the community was good to you.
Nothing.
Well,
yes. Yeah, community was great. My church was great. My boss was great. The community here of Raywood was good. I had people from all over, Devers, Dayzetta, everybody reaching out,
trying to give you shelter and
trying to do anything they could. Yes, it was.
That's when you find out real quick what it means to be part of a community.
That's right.
Not everybody has that. I don't know how people get by in the world without family and community.
By the skin of their teeth.
Yeah. So we wrap up every one of these with fun questions. So this is where you get to just enjoy it. So we call them the rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to give me the first thing that comes to mind. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Me too. Me too. Routine or variety?
Oh, routine. I
really?
Guess. Kind of a mixture of both, it's fun to say variety, but I like my things the way I like them.
I like unpredictability.
I like to know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I'm not Forrest Gump.
No, I just like I like variety.
Yeah.
I like to never know where I'm going to end up during the day. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I like to know where I like to.
You like to know where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Learn by doing or learn by listening?
Absolutely by doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to put my hands on it to know, and then I can do it. Yeah.
So what helps you reset after a difficult day?
My wife, honestly. Yeah, I work all day to look forward to getting home to her and spending time with her.
Who's the best cook?
Oh, definitely her.
You don't cook?
Girl, I would have to be a cook. I would have to cook in order to be considered one of the best.
Oh, so you don't even cook?
No. When I met her, I had a refrigerator full of boudin.
So she makes your life possible. I tell everybody my husband handles all my chaos.
Oh, she is amazing. She is. I don't know how she does it, honestly. How she goes to work. We commute to Dallas twice a week.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Comes home, takes care of the house, takes care of me. I just don't know how she does it. She's just great. Yeah,
it's nice when you find the right person for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just remember that and keep reminding yourself that you're lucky.
Oh, girl, I don't have to remind myself. It's just, I already know.
What is one value that you want to pass on to your daughter?
I would say integrity. Anybody that knows me knows that that's really what I have. I try not to lie, cheat, steal about anything. Constantly telling my daughter, I don't care what it is. If you're asked and you think for a second that you've got to tell me something other than the truth, then you're about to lie. Tell me the truth. Because we can always work around the truth, but you can never work around a lie. My daddy told me a long time ago, somebody will lie to you, they'll also steal from you and talk about you behind your back. So I've
always told my children that the truth is always enough.
That's exactly right.
It's always enough. You don't
right.
have to elaborate. You don't have to do anything extra. Just give me the truth.
That's right. No matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Robert, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for
He talks with his hands a little bit, so you'd have to see that he taps. Every once in a while you hear that tap.
Yeah, I always talk with my hands.
You're not the only one. Trent Ashby was another one. He talks with his hands a lot. I interviewed him for the Senate seat. But anyway.
Should have seen when I went and introduced myself to the Dayzetta City Council.
Or your hands everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere. And, Robbie come in the next day and
Oh, he's like making fun of you?
Yeah.
Some people talk with their hands
I
a
do,
lot.
I just-
Yeah. I don't think I do. I don't think I do. You probably would have
You
noticed if
kind
I
of do,
did.
but not now.
Kind of, yeah. Maybe I'll be more aware of it now. Well, I appreciate you explaining your background, your experience in law enforcement,
Yes,
and how you would approach the justice of the peace position if you're elected. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Headlines and Heartlines. As always, thank you all for listening, and I'll be back next week with another interesting conversation focused on the people and issues that matter to Liberty County.